Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Responsibility We Carry Athletic Support Service Learning Series. I'm your co-host, Travis Ballard, and I currently serve as the N4A ECC Institutional Partnership Program Chair. And our co-host is Mr. Quadjo Steele, who serves as our co-chair for the ECC IPP Committee. Today, we bring you part two of our series on motherhood, and we have two terrific leaders within the intercollegiate athletics industry. We are joined by my wife, LaToya Ballard, Senior Associate Athletics Director for Academics and Student Development at Florida Atlantic University, and Dr. Regina Johnson, Director of Football Academics at Florida State University.
Dr. Regina Johnson started off her career as a student assistant to the head basketball coach at Tennessee. Which coach was that?
Bruce Pearl.
Amazing. So not only working for a high profile coach and really an example, getting into those internships in the industry early. Transition has worked at University of Louisville, where I say she's got the most impressive stat ever of 2 full years of 1,000 APR. If you know what it's like in our field for football. I told her, I interviewed with her once, I'm like, this is the only person I've tried to impress more in the interview ever. And after that interview became Dr. Regina Johnson, as also serving as the head football, we call him academic coach, but director of academics football at Florida State University, doing big work down there. And then the most important role, the biggest role, mom to 8-month-old Alan, Dr. Regina Johnson. All right, Travis, if you don't do this right, I can't.
Y'all put it on me. You definitely did. Great job. And I have the honor and privilege of introducing someone who means more to me than words can describe. She's my best friend, mentor, wife, and newly established mother of our beautiful twins, Ms. LaToya Ballard. Toya has served as Senior Associate Athletics Director for Academics and Student Development at Florida Atlantic University since the spring of 2022. Toya previously served as the Director of Student Athlete Advising at Oklahoma, where she held positions on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, where she also subcommittee chair for professional development. She earned her bachelor's degree in physical education, teaching, and coaching from UCF in 2007, while representing the Knights in track and field. Toya then obtained her master's degree in sports and fitness, sports leadership from UCF in 2010. And I know this is one of her most significant and things that she's so proud of, and that we're both really just happy for. We prayed for it. We welcomed our twins in December of 22, a baby girl named Jordan and a baby boy named Josiah. So I know each of you are big on family. So I do want to first start with, we hear the phrase often, it takes a village. Who is your village of people, and how do they help you to support your work and motherhood identity?
I have to say is the ones who came through for me from via phone or actually flew in town in Tallahassee. So here in Tallahassee, I have no ties to Tallahassee. I have family around Florida, in Georgia. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, so in Georgia too as well. And first and foremost, I had my son at the right time in my life. I'm older, established, and all those things. And also too, my village are older, either retired entrepreneurs or working from home. So I had my best friends come fly in, stay with me for weeks. My mom came in. In fact, my mom retired and moved in. She's at my house with my son now. And stays with me. My aunt came down and stayed with me for weeks just to help me adjust, figure out strategies, learn how to do this. Like, one thing, even though I'm a woman, you just don't prepare for that. Like, that's a whole different thing. Even though it's easy to say, oh, it's natural. It's not. Like, you need to learn how to and figure it out. And so my village helped me through that, through my best friends and my aunts and my dad and my brother all coming down wanting to meet Alan and be male figures for my son and everything. So it's been a phenomenal experience. Most importantly, a secure feeling for me, because again, before my mom moved up here, or moved down here, I was by myself. And throughout my whole pregnancy, never once felt alone and had that security of my village to be there for me.
My experience is very similar to Dr. Johnson's. Our village is very extensive in terms of having family that is retired. Both of our parents are retired and can be here very easily, quickly, whenever we need them to. The same kind of goes for me too. I feel like God ordained for us to have these babies at the right time, because I was working in Oklahoma just a year ago. And right when I started the job at FAU, that's when I found out I was pregnant. So being 3 hours from my parents and having them to be able to come and check on me and check on us, and now taking care of our kids is a blessing. So that's where our village starts. We do have best friends, we have aunts and cousins and people that come and check on the babies and check on us to make sure that we're okay. I know one of the things that I would say when I first got pregnant is like, when I went to the doctor, it felt like all they cared about was the child or the children. And were they ever checking on me? Like I had like a 2-minute checkup, but then everything, all the ultrasounds, all the things were about them. And so I feel like even more so when they come, it's like, how are the babies doing? How are they doing okay? It's like, yeah, they're good, but what about me? Like I need a little bit of help too. Travis needs a little bit of help too. So it's nice that people are still thinking about us within our village. The other piece that I'm grateful for is my work village, the people that comforted us and really supportive and celebrated. We call our babies the Joes. Celebrated the Joes, their arrival. There was so many people that were just so excited for them to be here. And then when they were here, letting us know, like, if you need anything, they started a meal train for us. So they brought food for us when we had just had them. They offered to babysit. Like there's just so many people that check in and on us that makes our village even stronger, and it's grown even outside of our family.
We heard about this earlier, and you guys mentioned, that village that exists on your campus. Is there a key, member of the campus, or is there somebody who should be key in that relationship, or maybe different for each of you who supported you in that motherhood role?
For me, it was my supervisors did, and still are. Like your journey doesn't end when you have them. And so like our babies will be 4 months on tomorrow. And so I still need support. Like I've had flexibility with my schedule to be able to go home and be able to check in on them. So your supervisor, I think, is a big one. But also my coworkers just asking me how I'm doing, asking me if I need anything. And people across campus partners have been instrumental for me in just, like I said, checking in, checking on to see if like how things are going. I tell them all the time, my brain does not work anymore. Like I can't remember stuff. Like I struggle. And so the fact that they give grace, they listen, they're like, oh yeah, me too. I can't remember to do that too. It's like they're there with you. And that kind of strengthens that, like I said, that village to make you feel like, okay, I'm not alone.
I would have to say the same, as well as my office manager, Miss Daphne. She's been amazing. She's such a sweetheart. And Miss Carol. Ironically, there's some other women here who they all had their babies now at this point. So just being there and just sharing stories and experiences, knowing that we're not alone in that whole mix. And I have a relationship with the football wives. And they've been nice and caring and everything, and just checking in on me and just suggestions and just some talks and just listening and hearing me out and checking in on me. Because I did not realize. I definitely understand what Toya's explains, like, asking me, it's so much about the baby for sure. And I guess I was like, yeah, I expect that and all this other stuff, but like, I didn't realize the recovery process for a mom was even though it was normal, it was way more than what I expected. And so just knowing that there was a support of just the moms in my office who were really helpful in navigating and encouraging in those sense. And my direct report, Miguel Negron, like he's a young man, so like he doesn't know what to expect, but he was willing to open up, listen, be a supporting soundboard for me. I known him for 10 years, so it's like, so we have a long history together. But he was willing to go through the process with me because he didn't know what he was doing as a supervisor and in supporting a person who's being a mother. And I didn't know what I was going through because I'd never been a mom before. So he was willing to, just open up, listen, and hear me out as I was going through my journey as well. So he was an awesome support system too as well.
Excellent. So I'm going to ask you guys a twist. And you mentioned this, Dr. Johnson, about kind of surprising things that happen. Being that you both have fairly newborn, children, and we're going to have some listeners who may also be either pregnant or thinking about getting pregnant. Tell us a little bit what was surprising about being pregnant at work and then now being after the babies are born. Kind of what are two surprising things in those areas that you weren't kind of ready for? Even they can be good or things that were challenges, but what were some of those surprising things pre-birth and then after birth?
I can start. People are very excited about pregnancy. Like they just love pregnant people. And then you tell it, like for me, you tell them you're having twins and it's just like, oh my God, like it's just extra level of excitement and even kindness too, that I feel like I didn't always get in just in regular life or whatever. And so that was like, I think a surprising thing of just like how gracious and how helpful people were. I was tired. I was exhausted. I didn't know I was going to be more exhausted afterwards. I thought that was the hard part. Everybody would tell me like, just wait till I get here. And that was very true, but it's exhausting, especially like when you're in a leadership role and you have to show up and you have to be present and you have to be there for the people that you're leading. It's challenging to like kind of put that face forward. The same thing goes now. Like I'm even more tired because now I can't, like, even if I couldn't sleep just because of, the difficulties with being pregnant or being tired or whatever. Now I don't have a choice because I have to take care of 2 humans. And so the exhaustion level is even more, it's higher, and you still have to show up and you still have to be there. Like you still have a job to do. I can't use, well, I have kids at home. Like they're not trying to hear that. But I think the other part of the surprising thing is just how much like the moms really appreciate, the moms that I have in my office. I think they do appreciate having another mom, especially that's in a leadership role, because it might validate like what they're going through, or I have a little bit more empathy for them having to take their child to the doctor because their child was sick, because I've seen, I've dealt with that, or whatever the case may be. I think my mom group that I have here at work kind of lean on me because I'm in a little bit more of a leadership role, and can advocate for them.
Awesome. I love that both of you have the experiences of being mentors, not only with your physical abilities and what you provided from your lived experiences, but also in how you pour into others and how you help others to understand the journey. I know for one, when researching for this topic, there's a segment and group of people who look at motherhood and are looking at their careers and saying, how are they going to intersect? Why would I get into an athletic industry knowing how hard it is? And then you have other individuals who will not look at, who won't enter into it because of the stigmas and stereotypes that come with motherhood. Doing the research, I've seen how motherhood intersects with earning power, it intersects with career trajectory and political power. You know, how has motherhood positively impacted your job and professional career? And we'll start with Victoria.
I think very similar to what I said in that last question. I think it's given me a different lens in terms to be able to advocate for the other moms. Prior to having children, it was just me trying to have empathy for what they were going through. Like, I have a coworker and she would tell me about one of her children has reflux, and the only way she can sleep is sleeping upright on her shoulder. And so obviously, if you have a child sleeping upright on your shoulder, you're not getting any sleep because you're holding them. And she would tell me, like, she got an hour of sleep. And it wasn't until, and then she'd have to go to work. It wasn't until I had a child that has reflux, that's screaming all night long. And now I'm going through where I've only got a couple hours of sleep. So I really, and to see her work level hadn't changed, her, like, you would never know that she was going through that. She just happened to share it with me. It gave me a new level of empathy for her, and just making me be mindful of what other people are going through. The other thing that I can kind of say is a positive is throughout my whole career, it's been important for me to take care of somebody's child as though they were my family. And so I would want them to say they received the best customer service and that they were cared for to the best of, just receive the best care possible. And now that I have a child, like 2 children, I would want my children to have somebody who feels the way I do to care about them. Like, I wouldn't want Jordan or Josiah to go to school and somebody just neglect them. I would want somebody to care about them and make sure that they're looked after and loved. And so I feel like motherhood has allowed me to have that feeling a lot more than I maybe had before.
I would have to say, it has allowed me to create boundaries. In the past, I could be in my office all day and almost all night, and just getting things done, just working ahead, making things happen. Now, like, I'm gone at 5 o'clock every day. Now, doesn't mean I stop working. I mean, I always have my laptop, I always have my cell phone on, always working, but I'm going to go see my son. I'm going to spend the next 3 hours that he's up with him, knowing I have not been with him all day. And not only I set those boundaries, but my coworkers and colleagues respect those boundaries. So they know if they see my office or they see me out the door, they know I'm not going home just to go do nothing. They know that I'm going home to go put my mom hat on and go be a mom to my son. But if they still need something, they know I'm still available regardless. So I'm working through that, even though usually that hasn't been an issue. But coming from being here all day, early nights, I'm not, or more so setting those boundaries, and people were saying that, I mean, if they like it or not, I'm still gonna do it. Like, so it's just, but just moving forward with that. And so the coaches understand it, like they all have kids. So I mean, like, if they, they see their wives and doing things, but they also understand that I'm a working mom, and understanding that new title was completely different than being just a mom. And I was really blown by that. So just understanding who I am as a working mom, is a heavier load than I thought. And understanding boundaries have to be in place in order for that to appropriately work at the end of the day. So that's my biggest thing positively, is setting boundaries.
Before I ask my next question, Dr. Johnson, did you have a day where you realized the world won't blow up when you're out of the office at 5:30, or have you had that yet?
That was COVID, actually. like COVID let me know that we could do this at home. So after that, I was like, yeah, we made it through COVID, and never, unfortunately, that's the most secure I've ever felt in my career, was going through COVID. And our job in athletics was the only one who did not have to go through, what's that moment? I forgot what,
Furlough?
huh?
Furlough
Furlough,
one?
yes. We were the
Mhm.
only sub department that did not have to go through furlough. And I bought a house during COVID. I was like, yeah, I feel so secure. And so, but with that, it's taught me like 5 o'clock, I can still do this at home. I worked from home for a whole year. This still can be successful, me being at home with my son.
That's amazing. I had that very same feeling like, wow, everything was so accepted during COVID. Your
Yeah.
kid pop up in the background. They're like, cool. You're like, hey, I got to stop there in online school. Hey, that's great. And I was like, where was this the other 10, 15 years of my career? That's a great point. Probably a whole nother segment in itself, but it was amazing. So talking about that competitiveness that exists in our field, which really commands irregular hours, and a lot of times you're focusing on what you need to be in order to move up in this career. And that can be challenging in any setting for a mom. Ours is kind of particularly competitive. Can you talk about what has motivated you and kept you to being to pursue your professional growth while still being a mother in this type of competitive industry?
I had talked to a colleague, and she's a working mom. I mean, what Regina said about working mothers is, like you said, that could be a whole nother segment in and of itself. But I was having some anxiety about going back to work after my maternity leave was up. And so I reached out to a colleague just for advice, and she gave me a lot of good tips. The boundary thing is huge. And that was one of the big things that she said. But one of the other things that she said that really sticks out to me and kind of aligns with what you're asking is you have people watching you now. And so I have 2 little humans that are looking up to me, especially my daughter. She is a Black female, and she's going to be in a world that is going to have challenges and may not accept who she is as a woman, who she is as a Black person. And so it's up to me to be able to set that standard and to show her how to navigate these things. And so I can't stop because I know that, I have them watching me. I want my son to be able to find a partner that works hard and that's persistent and that is that doesn't give up and that is continually climbing in spite of having other responsibilities. So the fact that they're here, I think, is even more of a motivation for me. The other part is I've been Toya for several years before they got here. And so I cannot stop doing what I've been doing just because they have arrived. I need to make sure that I haven't forgotten me. I'm still a woman. I'm still a wife. There are things that I still need to be doing, and that doesn't stop just because I've, added this new title of mom.
I completely agree with that. Like, it's like I call Alan's my son's name. I call him my little leech. Like what? He's my koala. Like he's just on my hip. We still moving forward. Like regardless of the next opportunity in my career, obviously he's coming. Now I got my mom too. Like everybody, we're just gonna jump on and we're gonna keep moving. My mom has been my biggest supporter and encourager wherever we go next. So that's where we're going. So that's the beautiful part of this I guess in our career, because it's not the beautiful thing in being in academics is it's understood of being a parent. Like we have a lot of parents, so like now coaching, well, maybe I don't know, that may be a little different, but like in our world, I feel like it's still accepted. It's not shied away. But I've never missed a beat on that. Like I never had to think twice about that. And the only time I probably thought about that when I was still pregnant and wasn't sure about my living, or I guess the caregiving situation before my mom has decided on her own to come down. It just like moving too far away from my village, maybe. That was the only thing that I was concerned about. But beyond that, for my career, oh no, like that's not gonna stop a show. Like I did all this work for this PhD just to stop. No, definitely not. So
Yeah, no, that's great. I love that both of you talked about, I know one Toy mentioned the anxiety, and then you also mentioned going back and you're coming into work, and although you're supposed to get right back into work, you've set boundaries. You said, hey, at 5 o'clock, that's a different change in your order. One of my mentors, Dr. Janice Lavallee, told me early at Jackson State, write your own story. We want to tell your story. And I know both of you being women of color, being mothers, being administrators, you have so many people writing your own story through stigmas, through stereotypes, typecasting. How are you writing your own story and navigating this and navigating those different stigmas and beliefs? We'll start with Dr. Johnson.
I guess, having a kid doesn't stop my show. Like, it's just keep it moving, keep it going, keep him, like, grow him with me, like, meaning, like, he comes to events. We had a life event, Leaders Running for Excellence, something that Shanika Mungeon has started and is still moving strong. And the students wanted to do a field day, and it was started at 7 o'clock. So I went home, made sure my baby was fed, and I brought him to the field with us, because this is the time I spend with him, but it's something that needs to get done for our student athletes. So, still making things happen, still making progress. But if my son needs to come with, he needs to come with. Like, our student athletes are going to Ireland, and it's right before school starts. I may have to go, still working that out, but guess who else is coming? My son is coming. Like, so it's kind of like making it happen, making these cool opportunities happen with my son. Like, I mean, I love traveling. I want him to see the things that I do. He's going to be growing up in this space. Like, we go to coaches' houses all the time, hanging out, cookouts and all this. So they all know my son. They know that he is part of me. They know he's part of my life. And so it's nothing I don't hide. It's just more so like, this is part of Regina. Here she is, and then watch her grow into this whole space. So I feel like my confidence, my high expectations is well known because I don't hide it, and people respect that. And so I just move forward with it. And so I want my son to see that he can do anything he wants to, regardless of what surprises that may happen in life. But you still can make things happen and move forward.
I think that's the key part, is that I'm writing it. I am controlling the narrative. I'm the one that is saying what, me and God, not just me, but I'm making sure that whatever God tells me, that's what I'm gonna do. But I'm the one that's in control of this particular story. It's continuous. It's growing. This is a new chapter of the story. But the book has stayed the same. Like, I'm still, like I mentioned before, I'm still me. We're just adding new chapters and new layers to the book. And there's more to come. There's more things that I want to add to the story. This is just a beautiful chapter moment of it that will continue on throughout the rest of the time that I'm here on this earth.
That we're going to allow you guys to kind of send our listeners out with. I did want to ask you, Toy, that we're just meeting 2 questions. You can say yes or plead the 5th. All right. First question is, are you faster than Travis?
Yes.
All right. 2, did you have FAU in your Final Four?
Yes, I did. I absolutely did.
So thank you all. Your rapid fire question, we want to send a message out to our listeners. What is a sentence or phrase that mothers in our profession need to hear more of, and one that they need to hear less of? We'll start with you, Dr. Johnson.
Hear more of, you got this. You got this. You got this. Everything will be okay. You keep moving forward. I know there's more than one, but you got this. Hear less of, I guess. I know, okay, you got me on the spot, but like I'm sure there is a phrase. Watch me email you later. But it is usually, just hearing hearing doubts, like, you know, or people's stories becoming your story. Like every pregnancy, labor, baby are different. Like, and I try, like when people ask me questions, all I keep saying is like, this is my story. This is my story. Like, yo, babies do this, babies do that. And like, no, your baby could do something completely different. So it's your book, your story. So just don't take, what is it called? Unsolicited advices. Yeah, no, that's.
I think people can ask, how can I support you? What do you need? A lot of times we as women, we just take it on. We're just gonna do it because we want to make sure it gets done. And so in wanting to, how can I take something off your plate? What can I help you with? That would be lovely if somebody would continue to ask that and ask that on a continuous basis. I think maybe not necessarily say, but just don't assume I have it all figured out. Like, so it kind of goes back to the other one. Like, just don't assume that I know what I'm doing. Don't assume, like Regina said, like, this is not something that's just like you automatically know what's going on. It's an automatic innate thing. There are some things that are, but for the most part, I'm just figuring it out hour by hour. And so don't assume that I know what I'm doing all the time, or that I have it all together. So ask me, how can I support you? And that, you know, that would definitely make motherhood a lot smoother for me.
No, absolutely. Again, I have so much reverence for both of you, not just because Toy is my wife and that I know Dr. Regina from past occasions and working. I think the listeners both understand that you're still writing your story and you're still creating and you're still learning and you're making mistakes and you're learning from your mistakes. And that's what we're hoping that this series will help individuals. Everybody has an individualized path. And again, we just want to thank you all for your outstanding conversation with us. And we want to thank the audience for listening. We will have all our episodes in a video library for all of our viewers who want to rewatch the series soon. And so again, ladies, thank you for helping us understand the responsibility that you carry and that we collectively carry.